She was 84 years old, sitting in 97-degree heat with no water, waiting for a bus that stopped running 3 years ago. When 16-year-old Marcus found her, she'd been there for 9 hours, her lips were cracked, her pulse was fading. She was clutching a letter addressed to a son who'd been dead for 20 years. Marcus had $17, a warrant for truancy, and every reason to walk away. Instead, he carried her 2 miles in brutal August heat, a black teenager carrying an elderly white woman through neighborhoods where both of them were strangers. 3 times people called the police. 3 times Marcus kept walking. What happened when he finally reached help made national headlines. But that's not the story. The real story is what happened after, when the woman woke up and said 5 words that unraveled everything Marcus thought he knew about his own life. This is not about a rescue. This is about a secret buried for 40 years, a family destroyed by silence, and the impossible coincidence that rebuilt it. Stay with me to the end, because this story has a twist that will stop you cold. And friend, if you haven't subscribed to Story Buddy yet, now's the time, because these are the stories that remind us who we really are. Picture Houston, August, the kind of summer where the sidewalk can burn through your shoes and the air feels like breathing through wet cloth. Temperature 97 degrees, humidity 89%, heat index feels like 112. That's the kind of day where even the stray dogs hide in the shade, where the city itself seems to sweat, where emergency rooms fill with heatstroke victims and the news runs warnings every 30 minutes. Stay inside, stay hydrated, check on your elderly neighbors. Marcus Williams didn't hear those warnings. Marcus was 16 years old and hadn't been home in 3 days. Let me tell you about Marcus. His mother, Denise, worked double shifts at the hospital, 12 hours on, 4 hours off, then 12 more. She did it so Marcus could have a better life. But Marcus, like a lot of 16-year-olds, didn't understand sacrifice the way she did. He understood absence. He understood an empty apartment. He understood that his mother was never there when he needed to talk, never there when the anxiety got bad, never there. So Marcus stopped coming home too. He'd crash with friends, sleep in the park when the weather was good, skip school so often that the district had finally issued a truancy warrant, which meant any cop who ran his name would take him in. That's why when Marcus saw the old woman at the bus stop, his first instinct was to keep walking. She was white, he was black, she was helpless, he had a warrant. This was the kind of situation his mother had warned him about since he was old enough to understand. You cannot give them a reason, she'd say, any reason. But something made Marcus stop. Maybe it was how still she was sitting. Most people fidget, check their phones, look around. This woman was frozen like a statue someone had left on the bench. Her white hair was plastered to her forehead with sweat. Her house dress, yellow flowers, buttons down the front, the kind grandmothers wear, was soaked through. And she was holding something. A letter, gripping it with both hands like it was the only thing keeping her attached to the earth. "Ma'am," Marcus called out, still 5 feet away, keeping distance. "Ma'am, you okay?" No response. "Ma'am," he stepped closer. Her eyes were open but unfocused, staring at something Marcus couldn't see. He looked around. The street was empty. This was the part of Houston tourists don't visit: check cashing places, liquor stores, boarded up buildings wearing for lease signs like gravestones. No one was coming to help. Marcus pulled out his phone. The smart thing was to call 911, that's what you're supposed to do. But Marcus had learned things about 911 that they don't teach you in school. He'd seen what happened when a black teenager was found standing over a helpless elderly white woman. He'd watched enough videos to know how that story could end. He put the phone away. Instead, he approached slowly and touched her hand. Ice cold. In 97-degree heat, her skin was cold and clammy. That was bad. That was heatstroke bad. That was dying bad. "Ma'am, can you hear me? What's your name?" Her lips moved, no sound came out. "Ma'am, I need to get you help. Can you stand?" She tried. Her legs buckled immediately. Marcus caught her before she hit the ground. That's when he noticed the bus stop sign. The route number had been crossed out with a black X. Below it, someone had spray painted "discontinued." This bus hadn't run in 3 years, which meant this woman had been waiting for a bus that would never come, possibly for hours, possibly all day. Marcus looked at her, really looked. No purse, no phone, just the house dress, a pair of slippers that were never meant for outdoor use, and that letter she wouldn't let go of. She'd walked here from somewhere, in house slippers, in 97-degree heat, to wait for a bus that didn't exist. Dementia? Marcus recognized it. His grandmother had it before she passed, that same distant look, that same confusion about time and place. This woman had wandered away from somewhere, from someone, and now she was dying on a street corner in the worst part of the city. There was a clinic 4 blocks away. Marcus knew it because that's where Denise sometimes worked overtime. 4 blocks wasn't far. But 4 blocks might as well be 400 when you're a black teenager carrying an unconscious white woman through this neighborhood. Marcus made his choice. He lifted her. She weighed almost nothing, 90 pounds, maybe less. Her head lolled against his shoulder. The letter crinkled against his chest. "It's okay," Marcus said, even though she probably couldn't hear him. "I got you, we're gonna get you help." The first block, nobody saw them. The second block, an old man on his porch stared but said nothing. The third block, a woman in a minivan slowed down, pulled out her phone and started recording. "Hey," she yelled through her window, "what are you doing to her? What are you doing?" Marcus kept walking, explaining would take time this woman didn't have. Behind him, he heard the woman on the phone. "Yes, police, I'm watching a young black male carrying an elderly white woman. She looks unconscious. He's heading east on." Marcus walked faster. Halfway through the 4th block, the first police car appeared. It came from the opposite direction, lights flashing, siren wailing. Marcus saw it and made a decision that his mother would have screamed at him for making. He didn't stop. He didn't put the woman down. He didn't raise his hands. He kept walking toward the clinic, now visible at the end of the block. "Stop right there, put her down, get on the ground." Marcus heard the officers exit the vehicle, heard their boots on the pavement, heard the crackle of the radio. "Officers, she's dying," Marcus called out, not turning around. "She has heat stroke. I'm taking her to the clinic, please help me." "I said get on the ground." Marcus reached the clinic door. He could see nurses inside, could see the air conditioning, could see safety. He turned around. 2 officers had their weapons drawn. "Her name is on that letter," Marcus said, his voice steady even though his heart was trying to break through his ribs. "She has dementia. She's been in the heat for hours. If you want to arrest me, fine, but please, please let them help her first." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then one of the nurses burst through the door, took one look at the situation, and started shouting orders. "Get her inside now, someone get me in Roman 4, radio for an ambulance." The officers lowered their weapons. And Marcus, finally, gently, transferred the woman to a waiting stretcher. They arrested him anyway. Not for anything he'd done, for the truancy warrant, 3 hours in a holding cell while the paperwork processed, 3 hours not knowing if the woman had survived. When they finally let him go, Denise was waiting. She didn't say a word, she just pulled him into a hug so tight he couldn't breathe. She smelled like hospital antiseptic and exhaustion, but underneath that, she smelled like home. "Is she okay?" Marcus asked. "The woman, did she make it?" Denise pulled back, her eyes were wet. "She's stable. They got her temperature down just in time." "Do they know who she is?" "Her name is Millionaire Hartwell. She wandered away from a memory care facility this morning. Her family's been searching for her for hours." Denise paused, her expression shifted into something Marcus couldn't read. "What?" he asked. "The letter she was holding, the police asked her family about it. That's when things got complicated." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Millionaire, about the way she'd gripped that letter, about the look in her eyes when she'd briefly focused on his face. She'd said something in the clinic right before they sedated her. The nurse had told Denise, who'd told Marcus. She said, "You look just like him." Marcus had no idea what that meant. 3 days later, a car pulled up to their apartment. Black SUV, tinted windows, looking completely out of place in their neighborhood. A woman got out, white, maybe 50, wearing clothes that probably cost more than a month of Denise's salary. She walked up to their door and knocked. Denise answered. "Mrs. Williams, my name is Caroline Hartwell-Chen. Eleanor is my mother." They sat in the small living room, Caroline looking uncomfortable on their second-hand couch. Marcus stood by the window, unsure why he was even part of this conversation. "I wanted to thank you in person," Caroline said to Marcus. "The doctors said if you'd waited even 20 more minutes, she wouldn't have survived." "I just did what anyone would do," Marcus said. "No," Caroline's voice cracked, "that's not true. 3 people saw you carrying her. 3 people. One recorded it, one called the police, one just drove away. Nobody helped. Nobody asked if you needed help. In this city, in this heat, not one person stopped to help either of you." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you. It's not payment, that would be insulting. It's a scholarship fund for college, trade school, whatever you want." Marcus didn't move to take it. "Mrs. Chen, I appreciate it, but I didn't do it for money." "I know," Caroline's eyes were wet, "that's exactly why you deserve it." Denise spoke up. "Marcus, take it. You can decide later what to do with it, but take it." Marcus took the envelope. It was thick, he didn't open it. "There's something else," Caroline said. Her voice had changed. Tighter, nervous. "My mother, she's been asking for you. She's having more clear moments now that she's stabilized, and she keeps asking about the boy who carried her. You want me to visit her?" "If you're willing, but Marcus," Caroline hesitated, "I need to tell you something first, something about that letter." The letter was addressed to a man named William Brooks. It was dated 1984, 40 years ago. Eleanor had written it to tell William that she was pregnant, that she loved him, that she wanted to keep the baby, that she would wait for him. William Brooks never received it. His family found it the morning he shipped out for basic training and destroyed it. They didn't approve of Eleanor, didn't approve of where she came from, who her family was. They decided William was too young, too promising, too destined for better things. They told William that Eleanor had abandoned him, told Eleanor that William wanted nothing to do with her. Both of them believed it. Eleanor married someone else, raised her daughter, lived her whole life with that undelivered letter, never sent, never received, kept in a drawer like a wound that wouldn't heal. William Brooks married too, had a daughter, watched his daughter grow up and have a son. William Brooks was Marcus's grandfather. He died 3 years ago. Marcus had never known about Eleanor. Nobody had. The secret died with William's parents, buried under 40 years of silence. But Eleanor, in her dementia, had started to remember, started to look for the son she'd given up, the son who'd been adopted at birth because she couldn't raise him alone, the son who'd grown up not knowing who his birth parents were. That son was Marcus's father. The father who'd left when Marcus was 2, the father Marcus had spent his whole life hating. The father who, it turned out, had his own story. Marcus visited Eleanor the next day. The memory care facility was nicer than he expected, soft lighting, gardens visible through every window, nurses who smiled like they meant it. Caroline walked him to Eleanor's room. "She might not remember you today," Caroline warned. "The clear moments come and go." But when Marcus walked in, Eleanor looked up immediately, her eyes focused, sharp, present. "You came back," she said, "the boy who carried me." "Yes, ma'am." "Sit down, please." Marcus sat in the chair beside her bed. Up close, he could see the resemblance now that he knew to look for it, something around the eyes, something in the shape of the jaw. "You look like him," Eleanor said, "like William. Everyone said I was crazy, but I knew, the moment I saw your face, I knew." "My grandfather," Marcus said, "they told me about him." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. I loved him so much, and they took everything from us." "I know. Your father, my David, I never got to raise him, I never got to tell him the truth. Do you know where he is?" Marcus didn't answer right away. He did know, he'd always known, even though Denise pretended not to. His father lived 40 minutes away in a halfway house, trying to stay sober, trying to become someone worth knowing. Marcus had never visited, never wanted to. "I know where he is," Marcus finally said. Eleanor gripped his hand with surprising strength. I want to meet him before I forget again, before I lose myself completely. Please, can you bring him to me? Marcus's father's name was David. He was 42 years old, 10 months sober, working as a janitor at a church that let him sleep in the basement during his first few months of recovery. He'd been adopted as an infant by a family that loved him but never told him the truth about his origins. He'd spent his whole life feeling like something was missing, like some part of himself had been lost before he could remember it. When Marcus walked into the halfway house, David was sitting on his bed, reading a Bible that looked well-worn. David stood up, disbelief washing over his face. What are you? I need to tell you something, Marcus said, about your birth mother. David's face went pale. How do you know about that? So Marcus told him all of it, the heat, the bus stop, the letter, the secret buried for 40 years. When he finished, David was crying. She kept the letter, he whispered, all this time. She wants to meet you. She's in a memory care facility. She has good days and bad days, but right now she's clear. She's asking for you. David wiped his eyes. After everything I did, abandoning you and your mother, why would you do this for me? Marcus thought about it, thought about his grandmother's words, hurt people, thought about Eleanor, alone and confused, holding onto a letter for 40 years, thought about his father growing up feeling like something was missing. Because somebody needed help, Marcus said, and I was there. The meeting between Eleanor and David lasted 3 hours. Caroline recorded part of it with their permission. Eleanor, for once lucid and present, telling her son about the love story that created him. David, weeping openly, holding the hand of the mother he never knew he had. I'm sorry, Eleanor kept saying, I'm so sorry I couldn't keep you. It wasn't your fault, David kept answering, none of this was your fault. Marcus watched from the doorway. Denise stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. You did this, she whispered, you brought them together. I just carried an old woman to a clinic. No, Denise turned him to face her, you did so much more than that. You saw a person who needed help and you didn't look away, you made a choice. And that choice unraveled 40 years of secrets and brought a family back together. She smiled through her tears. That's not luck, baby, that's who you are. 6 months later, Marcus graduated from an alternative high school with honors. David attended the ceremony 6 months into a reconciliation that was slow and sometimes painful but real. Eleanor couldn't be there, she'd had a bad week. But Caroline came and she sat next to Denise, and when Marcus walked across that stage, 2 families cheered as one. The scholarship from Caroline paid for Marcus's first year at community college. He's studying social work now, specializing in elder care. David got a better job, moved into his own apartment, and visits Eleanor every week. He reads to her, even on the days she doesn't know who he is. He says it doesn't matter, she's still his mother. Marcus and Denise have dinner together every Sunday now. Real dinners where they talk about their weeks and their dreams, and sometimes about the hard stuff too, about the years they lost, about how they're choosing not to lose anymore. Last month, Marcus started volunteering at a homeless outreach program. He walks the streets twice a week, looking for people who have been forgotten, looking for people who need help. Why do you do it? Another volunteer asked him. Marcus thought about that bus stop, about 97-degree heat, about a letter held for 40 years. Because someone might be waiting, he said, and I want to be the one who shows up. Before you go, friend, I want you to think about something. Secrets have weight, they press down on families, on relationships, on lives. Eleanor carried one for 40 years. David lived with the shape of one his whole life without knowing what it was, and it took one moment of impossible kindness to crack it all open. Marcus wasn't supposed to help that day. Every calculation said walk away, every survival instinct said protect yourself, society said mind your own business. He helped anyway. And in helping a stranger, he found a family he didn't know he had. What secrets are you carrying? What connections are waiting to be discovered? What would happen if you chose kindness even when it costs you? This story is proof that the people we save sometimes save us right back. If this touched your heart, smash that subscribe button for Story Buddy, because we've got more stories like this coming. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you never know whose whole world you might change just by showing up. See you in the next one.